Hari. Prasodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Prasodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janava Kirivarajari Jaya Gopi Janava Kirivarajari Yashoda Nandana Brajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, text 5, text 3. Chapter 5, text 3. Sarvam hi itad bhavan veda bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu Karmalaka Vad Vishvam Vignav Alvasitam Tava Sarvam hi etad bhavan veda Bhuta bhuvya bhavat Prabhu Karamalakavad Vishvam Vijnanavsitam Tava Sarvam hi etat bhavan veda Bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu Karamalakavad Vishvam Vijnanavisitam Tava Sarvam hi etat bhavan veda Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu Karamalakavad Vishvam Vijnana Visitam Tava
Sarvametad Bhavan Veda
Sarvami Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Ramalakavad Vishvam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Vijnana Visam Tava Sarvami Etat Bhavan Veda Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Vijnana Navsitam Tava
Sarvange Tat Pavan Veda
Sarvami Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Karamalakavat Vishwam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vijnanavasitang Tava
Vijnana Visitam Tava
Sarvam hi Bhavan Veda
Sarvami Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vijnana Vasitam Tava
Vijnana Vasitam Tava
Sarvam hi tad bhavan Veda
Sarvam hi Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vijnana Visatam Tava
Vijnana Vasitam Tava
Sarvam Yetad Bhavan Veda
Sarvam Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Ramalakatad Vishvam
Karamalakatad Vishvam
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Vijnanam Visam Tava
Sarvam Yetad Bhavan Veda
Sarvam Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Karamalakavad Vishwam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vignava Vasitang Tapa
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Sarvam hi tad bhavan Veda
Sarvam Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vijnana Vasitam Tava
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Sarvam hi Etad Bhavan Veda
Sarvam Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vijnana Vasitam Tava
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Sarvam Hetad Bhavan Veda
Sarvam Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhuta Bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Sarvam Hetad Bhavan Veda
Sarvam Etat Bhavan Veda
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Karamalakavad Vishvam
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Vijnanavasitam Tava
Sarvam etad bhavam veda.
Sarvam etad bhavan veda.
Bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu.
Bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu.
Karma laka vad vishvam.
Karamalaka vad vishvam.
Vijnana vasitang tava.
Vijnanavasitam tava.
Sarvam etad bhavan veda.
Sarvam etad bhavan veda.
Bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu.
Bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu.
Kalamalaka vad vishvam.
Karamalaka vad vishvam.
Vijnana vishatam tava.
Vijnanavasitam tava.
Sarvam hetad bhavan veda.
Sarvam etad bhavan veda.
Bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu.
Bhuta bhavya bhavat Prabhu.
Ramalaka yad vishvam.
Karamalaka vad vishvam.
Vijnana vasitam tava.
Vijnanavasitam tava. So is everyone chanting? Sarvam, all and everything. He certainly. Etat, this. Bhavan, your good self. Veda, no. Bhuta, all that is created or born. Bhavya, all that will be created or born. Bhavat, all that is being created. Prabhu, you, the master of everything. Kara amalakavat, just like a walnut within your grip. Vishvam, the universe. Vijnana avishitam, within your knowledge, scientifically. Tava, your. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. My dear Father, all this is known to you scientifically, because whatever was created in the past, whatever will be created in the future, or whatever is being created at present, as well as everything within the universe, is within your grip, just like a walnut. Purport: Brahma is the direct creator of the manifested universe and everything within the universe. He therefore knows what happened in the past, what will happen in the future, and what is happening at present. Three principal items, namely the living being, the phenomenal world, and the controller, are all in continuous action, past, present, and future. And the direct manager is supposed to know everything of such actions and reactions, as one knows about a walnut within the grip of one's palm. The direct manufacturer of a particular thing is supposed to know how he learned the art of manufacturing, where he got the ingredients, how he set it up, and how the products in the manufacturing process are being turned out. Because Brahma is the firstborn living being, naturally, he is supposed to know everything about creative functions. So yeah, these are some great verses. So Narada Muni, he's addressing his father, Brahmaji. And so Narada was manifested by the mind of Brahma, brought into the universe. He's an eternal, spiritual, transcendental, traveling spaceman, preaching the glories of the Lord always. So he's brought into the universe. And so now he's addressing Brahma, because Brahma, he's qualified. So Narada, he's qualified to ask questions, just like Maharaj Priskit and Sukadeva Goswami. And so it's just appropriate because he's addressing Brahma's qualifications like that. And so Lord Brahma, he heard this Vedic knowledge from Krishna, directly from within his heart. The Gayatri mantra, the sound of Krishna's flute, entered into his ears. And so then there's the four chatur slokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is very, very similar to these verses, except regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like that, rather than Brahma being the secondary creator. chapter slokas are in second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the 9th chapter, text 33 to 36. So those four verses. And what it addresses that the phenomenal universe is temporary, illusory, and that the Supreme Lord existed before the creation. He maintains the creation and will continue to exist after the creation. And that it is imperative that one realizes the supreme absolute truth. Otherwise, everything else is just illusion. So this is the 4 chapter slokas that Brahmaji, he heard, and Srimad Bhagavatam is expanded from that. And then that brings us to the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's actually Gayatri, the last word in the first text in Canto 1. It ends with Dhimahi. With he I worship. The Dhimahi, that makes it Gayatri. And so it begins with paying our obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Yasad Yata Yata. First aphorism of Vedanta Sutra after Brahma Gyanasa is all things that exist emanate from the Supreme. So that's actually the conclusion. So I was listening to the lectures by Sridhar Swami on this verse. And so he said that to accept a spiritual master is absolutely required, right? No, there's no buts or whats about that. He made the analogy like someone said, okay, bring me some milk. So you come back and say, well, the stores are closed. And the stores, they didn't have any milk. It's like, but it's like you could have done whatever you could do to get some milk, even like go milk a cow. Right? Go milk a cow yourself. Anything you can do to possibly get that milk. So the Sanskrit for that, we were discussing this, Tasmat Sarva Gurum Eva Bhajat Chit, is imperative that one must approach a spiritual master. It's not that, well, okay, I couldn't find a qualified person, so that's okay, I don't need a guru. That's not the process. It's a must. So it's a must seek out someone in disciplic succession at Sarvam, who's situated in spiritually on the transcendental platform. He's fully convinced that Krishna is the supreme Brahman. So Brahman and Nishtam, like that. Sarvam, Brahman and Nishtam. So that's the qualification of the guru, that he comes in disciplic succession and that he's transcendentally situated and convinced that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and the supreme Brahman. And so he also cited the verse that these verses were also discussed towards the end of last chapter. Bhagavad Gita, text 4, chapter 34, text 34, chapter 4. As one must approach a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can deliver because he has seen the truth. So that's the way that if you want to please Krishna, this is the way Krishna wants to be approached. So if you want to please Krishna, then approach the spiritual master to satisfy the spiritual master, and that's what is pleasing to Krishna. So that's specifically a point that he was making, that's what's pleasing to Krishna, is approaching the spiritual master. But it's a must. So also in these verses here, it's actually a must that we must realize the transcendence, and that we must realize that the phenomenal material world, which is eternally manifest and unmanifest, is just a simply external material illusion, and that the rotting situation is the soul is just rotting in the material world, transversing through 8,400,000 species of life, pretty much eternally, since time immemorial, just wasting time and satisfying their own senses in the various bodily machines. There's the aquatics, the plant life, and the trees, and the reptiles and the birds, the mammals, the simian races. And what did I say at one time? 8,400,000 predatorial species of life, one living entity is food for another. So it's a hard struggle for existence. So you have the forces of Mother Nature and you have predators, and they're hunting, they're trying to find the worm, or trying to find the snake's trying to find the rat. The cats are always chasing around the cats and the birds to play with the squirrels. So that's the, someone would say, well, what's wrong with being a tree? What's wrong with being a dog? And we're talking about, oh, you mean like just being the treeness of being a tree, right? Or the doggish part of it of just being a dog. So that's what Prabhupada was saying, that society, they're ready to prepare to become trees and cats and dogs. So someone asked Prabhupada too in the lecture, a very similar thing. Well, what's wrong with being a dog? Like that. So it's a lowly life form, and you're still transmigrating within 8,400,000 species of life. And it's actually a suffering condition. So there's the higher species, the heavenly planets, and the lower species. Krishna says, from the highest planet material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. So that's actually the situation. So this is created by Brahma, the secondary creator under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he manifests the present universe, which is very, very large. They're trying to look out with the Hubble telescope, and they're theorizing that they're looking at other universes. But what they're looking at specific universal systems within this one large universe. So it's stated that they're basically almost innumerable, or unlimited planets within this universe. There's 14 planetary systems. And it's divided into three sections: upper, middle, and lower. So the lower systems are more of the hellish worlds and the worlds of the demons, the subterranean heavenly planets. And the earthly planets were more situated in passion. And then there's the higher planetary systems, more situated in mode of goodness, and the heavenly planetary systems. Srimad Bhagavatam is their scripture that they read, and that was a great point that Maharaj had pointed out, is that they have hundreds of volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam like that. So it's very, very nice. The Deva Sanskrit, Deva Nagari Sanskrit. So this is, we're studying the scripture that they read and study even in the heavenly planets, and this is a transcendental literature. It's a literature that is not a product of the three modes of material nature, or a product of matter. It's not some fictitious, but these are historical accounts. That's why it's called Purana, historical accounts to point out all the Vedic truths. So all the Vedic lessons are included in Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically devotional service, that we discussed this in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Is that Narada Muni is addressing Vyasadeva within the disciplic succession to specifically compose a literature that it deals specifically with devotional service. That's the conclusion. Krishna says, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. So that's the secret of success. It's actually devotional service. So there's yoga, and there's jnana, and there's karma. There's practicing austerities, the the six-fold path of yoga, the Patanjali yoga system, truthfulness, cleanliness, austerity, celibacy, brahmacharya, compassion, nonviolence. Jai Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Asana. There's breathing, your breathing exercises, prana, asana, take your seat, and remembrance, dhyana, dharanya, and then ultimately samadhi. So by engaging all of one's senses and mind in the service of Krishna, or as a sannyasi, I saw Maharaj touches Dana 3 times when he pays the obeisance to Srila Prabhupada. Mind, body, and soul, right? So one is always thinking of Krishna, always, and purely situated in devotional service. That's samadhi. Always thinking of Krishna. Always thinking of Krishna or Vishnu, and not something impersonal or void, which is just simply an artificial imposition on the mind. So on the Chantra Sloka verses, Maharaj has a nice lecture there on Srimad Bhagavatam class.com from 1995. And it's on second canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 9, text 33. And so he mentions this, and it's mentioned here in this purport, in this verse here too. It says, let's say an engineer who has designed in his building a building structure. He knows everything about the building. He knows the blueprints. He knows all about the electrical, the plumbing, what the materials are that are going to be used for the, for the building. He knows all about the foundation, finishing and completing the details of the job. So he knows everything about it. So that's pretty much the same way as the Supreme Person of Godhead. He's the original cause, the Adi Purusha, the original cause of all causes. That's one thing that Maharaj was mentioning yesterday in class. How the scientists, they don't really understand how everything is cause and effect. They might have some sort of theory, because that was the thing that came to mind. Einstein said all bodies in motion will remain in motion until impeded upon an equal and opposite impending force, like that. So, but everything, it's all action and reaction, especially according to karma. And this science that they don't know, that how one acts in this lifetime is the preparation for your next life, like that. So everyone's acting like cats and dogs. The society, Prabhupada was saying, the society is going to the cats and dogs, like that. So if you act like a cat and dog, you'll get a bodily machine as a cat and a dog in your next life. But Prabhupada, he saw the people surfing out there on the beach. Said, "Oh, what is this?" He said, "Oh, they're surfers, Prabhupada." And he goes, "Oh, they're sufferers." If they're thinking about surfing and being in the water at the time of death, they can take a form of an aquatic where they can be in the water all they want. Through all the species of the aquatics, 900, how many other 900,000 aquatics to the 8,400,000 species, 900,000 of them are aquatics. So they can be in the water all they like that. So, but the human form of life is Brahma Gyanasa. Now is the time to inquire into what is Brahman and the human form of life. So, are there any questions or comments or something for discussion? Or I think, oh yeah, that's the other thing we're talking about, is that Krishna, he's Trikala, and that's also mentioned in this verse, that Brahma, he knows everything about the creation in the past. He knows everything about the creation now at the present, and he'll know everything about the creation in the future. It's just like that engineer knows everything about the construction, all the materials, the time it's going to take, all the helpers he's going to need to have, the construction crews, the electricians, the plumbers, right? Install all the details. Do you have a comment? Do you have the microphone? Oh, he has a comment? Oh, you have the microphone over here. Okay. Yeah, commenter.
Just to, if you want to expand on what you just said, if everything is known, so everything is predetermined, pretty much, including our destiny.
Yeah, that's a great question. In spiritual circles, my friend, I was speaking with my friend's father, and he's Judaic, and he kind of mentioned this to me. It's a real popular subject, like discussing the smile of the Mona Lisa amongst the artists. Is the predetermination versus free will, right? And I mentioned this, because both are in effect. right? It's predetermined, everyone knows, but you have your free will. So I asked, he was a spiritual master from Africa, Nairobi. I believe he's left his body already. Somebody knows his name. He was in Denver. And so I mentioned this. I asked him about this, because both are in effect and they're both simultaneously existing, and they're two truths that don't exist without the other. And so he explained that it's like a machine, and you have some buttons on the machine, right? So you can press any one of those buttons according to your karma that are available, right? So the choice that you choose according to your karma situation, so you can press one of those buttons, right, out of a choice of a set of buttons, right? And so then you'll be brought to another set of buttons, right? That you can make your choice, and it's all according to karma. You press that button. So we have their choices, but they're limited, right? But so then Krishna knows everything about the future too, right? This is, I believe it's also been stated how in God's time, in Krishna's time, everything's taking place within one breath of Mahavishnu. But let's say if everything was actually just one big flash, the material universe coming into being and coming into non-manifestation, and all takes place in like one moment of God's time, just one flash, one second of God's time. So he certainly knows everything about the past, present, and future all simultaneously like that, although he acts like he's localized and performs his pastimes. And as soon as one pastime is ended here on this planet, then the pastime will again begin on where he's present in another planet. Somewhere the Janmashtami is taking place, Krishna's appearing, and they're performing his name ceremony and bathing him, and then that's taking place again simultaneously again when that ends in another place where Krishna's performing his Leela, another Bhartavarsha, in another universe. So these pastimes are eternal. It's like a transcendental roadshow. So, but to us, we see things as the long and winding road before us, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. So we're seeing things in a linear, chronological, and that's normal. You'd be considered kind of crazy, but those who are Trikala, like Srila Vyasadeva, Lord Brahma, Lord Krishna, they're not limited by imperfect, limited senses like that. That's what's mentioned about Trikala, the knowers of past, present, and future. So we can endeavor for self-realization. It's not needed that we know about past, present, and future. There's one of the mystic cities mentioned in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. One can actually know how they will die at the end of their life, if you really want to know when and how, like that. So there was Maharaj Katvanga. He was fighting for thousands of years, in the years of the demigods. He was helping them fight the demons, and so the demigods were very pleased with the service, with this fighting, and they offered him a boon or benediction. So he wanted to know how much life duration he has left. And it just so happened that by providence, he only had one moment left. So he gathered his wits, that's the way it's stated, gathered his wits about him, and he became fully Krishna conscious just in that one moment, like that. And he went back home, back to Godhead. So it was, devotees would ask Prabhupada, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada would say, within a minute, just within a second, So, just become very, very serious, because I wanted to mention this, the seminars that we had. It's really nice chanting and putting your heart into the chanting, giving your chanting loving feelings towards Krishna. And the way that it was mentioned was that like the child calling for their mother, like that, so generally, one of the 10 offenses chanting the holy names of the Lord is to be inattentive while chanting the holy name of the Lord. So saying the child calling for its mother is in complete anxiety. What's his mother? He's not thinking about going and playing with his playmates, or, going to school, or, what he wants to do, run and play, so does that answer your question? Was that the question about that? The predetermination versus free will? Jai Gauranitai Ki Jai. Yeah, because you know what my friend's father said? He said it's a popular subject for discussion, but he said actually there's no real answer to this. There actually isn't the solution to it like that. So they don't exactly have a definite answer. Yeah. Do you have a question, Ed? I think the battery might be out on that. Oh, is this working?
Do you think I could share one example that I heard, Prabhu?
Sure.
So we have our free will, which is basically to serve Krishna or serve Maya. And sometimes we make that choice. And then for some period of time, we have to deal with the choice we made. And so the example is that when you choose to take a very strong intoxicant, like some liquor or something, you're going to be drunk for some time and you're going to have to live that out. So it may have been understood previously that you were going to make that choice, but you still had your free will in the moment to do so. And then you have to live that out for some time once you make that choice.
Yes, basically, the real choices are surrender to Krishna or not to surrender to Krishna. So Krishna wants us to surrender to Krishna, otherwise we're just going to be making all the wrong choices. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point of subject for discussion. That was good. Good question. Yeah, you had a comment?
This is a question that's been on my mind quite a bit. And you mentioned that the devotees asked Prabhupada how fast it takes to become Krishna conscious. And he says within a moment. And what I'm wondering is, where does the switch happen? Because sometimes I'm trying to chant and I'm thinking, I should be doing this for Krishna's pleasure, or I should be calling out for Krishna. But it's almost like all this intellectual runaround is almost like I don't feel like I'm getting any traction, even though I'm really trying to be a pure devotee right now.
Oh yeah, you get the attraction. Just keep trying to be a pure devotee right now. Because what is it? Is the circular thought patterns of everything else except for devotional service, the repeating sitcoms of the lives of our minds, things that happened before, and then all of a sudden you're going to say this. That's not what happened. Then they'll say that. Then it becomes complete illusion and fantasy. It's completely off topic now, completely off record. It's something that actually didn't happen. Right? So then you're off in fantasy land. But yeah, when you catch your mind wandering, then like Krishna says in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when he's explaining the Stanga yoga system, is withdraw your mind and bring your mind back under control of the self. Like that, yeah. That the mind is, it certainly wanders due to its fickle and unsteady nature. So yeah, when you just kind of catch your mind kind of just wandering off topic, on everything else, and these circular motions repeatedly from from fact to illusion, like that. I have lots of things to think about. Teacher giving us the run around at school. I wasn't cheating, but the teacher was trying to say I was cheating, and she's changing my answers. And we even gave her the what is it? They wanted the. But anyways, I think about all this, and it's like, it's off topic. It's or the different situations. What happened in school, or what a brother and sister did, or friends, or we were treated unfairly and unfairly fired at work, or something, or even the good times, like when we went to Disneyland, or making plans like everybody's got something better to do, but wouldn't that be nice if I maybe just kind of did something else? And if I go to Disneyland, how about that? Make plans to go somewhere. So that's planning and estimating. So that's what they're saying about a pure devotee. He's engaged in pure devotional service. Someone self-realized. He doesn't make plans. He makes plans for devotional service, very careful and detailed, right? But he's not making material plans. What is it? One who contemplates the objects of the senses certainly deludes himself. Oh, yeah. One who controls the senses, but within whose mind contemplates the object of the senses, certainly deludes himself, and it's called the pretender. So, yeah, just endeavor for self-realization. Just when you catch your mind wandering, bring it back under control of the self. And you become more and more practiced so that, the period between spacing out and being focused with attention. Prabhupada was saying, first, you have to be a qualified hearer. You must learn to hear. So he said, first, you must concentrate your mind. You're saying, let the class go on, and I'll think about my business activities or some of my household duties. But he said, that's not hearing. That's making a show of hearing, but not hearing. Or let the lecture go on. Let me take some rest. He was staying like this. This was on a lecture on first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam regarding Yudhisthira relinquishing his royal belt and garments, and amalgamating the senses into the mind, and the mind into life breathing, and hearing into the ether, and into the elements that we're discussing, and then leaving the royal household, right, and traveling for the north. So Maharaj Yudhisthira, even though a great king, he gave up all the royal dress and fixed his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and went engaged in devotional service on a full-time basis as a renunciate. So there's a lot of examples. So yeah, endeavor in a period of time of mental activity will become less and less and less. Just try to concentrate your mind and think about Krishna. So there's a lot to think about Krishna. It's the natural process of thinking about Krishna. It's natural psychological process. Krishna's activities in Krishna book, the activities of the incarnations described in Srimad Bhagavatam. We have a lot of lectures, we can listen to. There's kirtans and bhajans. They're playing a bhajan where he was singing, well, we're chanting Hare Krishna. I want you to think about this song. And he was actually singing according to the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Oh, my mind, let me think of Krishna. Krishna, please come into my heart. Please allow me to perform loving devotional service to you. Like that. Hare Krishna, Rama, Reservoir of Pleasure, Mother Hara Krishna. Like that, so, think about the meaning, when we're chanting the prayers to the spiritual master in the morning, the meaning of the prayers, that the spiritual master is a ocean of mercy, like a rain cloud extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. The Sankirtan movement of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very pleasing. And Sri Vigraharad is dressing the deity, decorating deity, worshiping deity, cooking prasad, offering prasad to the deity. These things are pleasing the spiritual master. 4 types of foodstuffs, chatur. So chatur means four times the foodstuffs, which are what drunk, licked, chewed, sucked. So these are pleasing to the spiritual master. One cooks and offers them to Krishna. And let's see, well, there's 8 prayers. So listen to the words and the meaning of the words, which prayer is which. Oh, Sri Radhika, right? Spiritual master is very pleased to hear and think about, or he's absorbed in the loving pastimes of Sri Krishna and Radhika within the groves of Vrindavan, like that. So, think about the meaning behind the, Shiva, Sukadev, let's see, Shiva, Sukha, in the evening prayers. So Lord Shiva, he's present with Sukadev Goswami, and what was the verse? Shiva, Sukha. Yeah, so they're dancing, they're chanting. Narada Muni, Narada is there. So how do we start the evening prayers? I'm trying to think. With the prayers of Lord Chaitanya, prayers pleasing to Lord Chaitanya. Mridanga, Kartal, Mridanga and Kartala. So playing the Mridanga and playing Kartals. Like that. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, it states at the end, Bhakti Vinod. So yeah, so there's a lot of things to, focus our minds on, then that becomes remembrance, the dhyana, dharana, and samadhi. Then when one is constantly fixed and thinking of Krishna and pure devotional service, then that's real samadhi, like that. So, yeah, any other questions or comments, point of discussion? Srimad Bhagavatam class, Ki Jai.